This video is sponsored by Instant Gaming. Get cheap game time as well as other workout products at affordable prices. Click the link in the description below to check it out. Hello guys, this is Doronsmovies and welcome to the 15th episode of the Big Q&A. I haven't actually recorded this series in a while, so I just thought I would do another episode and to tell you guys what's been going on behind the scenes with the channel, as well as to answer some of your lore questions. I kinda promised I would do this a lot more, but there just hasn't been too many things happening and I just feel like I would kinda repeat myself, so I'll just do this whenever there's like things to talk about and questions to answer. As always, there will be a channel section and a lore section, and everything is timestamped in the description, so you can just skip to the sections of the video that you wanna see. So without further ado, let's get into the Q&A. In terms of the channel, it has been doing pretty well recently. I've focused a lot on these Alliance Horde videos, and it seems like it's pretty well received by you guys. It's kind of current with the Battle for Azeroth, but overall, it is pretty fun to work on. I really enjoy like speculation type videos and videos that you really gotta think and not just like write what is there, but like combine information and then give your own opinions and speculate. The crime series I did, that was really interesting to work on. I definitely enjoyed it. And it's not really a topic that is usually covered, or for example, the How Powerful series is also something that I've been doing for years and that I find very interesting to work on. I do enjoy the How Powerful series as it's sort of similar to like lore lessons, but it leans more into discussions and speculations because in regards to power levels, like you can never say how powerful someone is. You can just give your own opinion. Like there is no ranking on how powerful it is. It's not like a competition. So a lot of it is just like your own speculation. I would also appreciate your feedback on what you would like to see in terms of this. I was thinking possibly covering some neutral factions or some other characters. For example, how powerful is Jaina, how powerful is Thrall, how powerful is Anduin, Sylvanas, and all sorts of characters that are like currently relevant. Now, in terms of the expansion, it is actually coming out 2 weeks after this video and I'm super excited. I haven't actually played the game a lot in the past 6 months or so. There just hasn't been too much to do and I've been working a lot more than I've been playing. So I think it's going to be great as there's going to be a ton of new content, new lore, as well as new inspirations for videos. So lastly, in terms of sponsors, this is something I've talked in the previous Q&A. I think it's been like 4 months since the last Q&A, and if you guys have noticed, there have been some sponsors now, and I'm currently on a long-term sponsorship with Instant Gaming. Personally, I've been as picky as possible, but the problem with a channel of my size is that you can't really afford to be like super picky, and you gotta settle a lot of the time. Big proven brands like giant brands only want to work with channels that are in the millions, so when you hear a lot of these YouTubers say like they can just pick sponsors, it's usually very big channels that probably won't even need sponsors in the first place. However, I was honestly a bit surprised by the feedback as people don't really mind it, and I feel like I should have just done it earlier. It definitely helps support the channel and it also does something I didn't expect, and that is, it helps me keep videos on a deadline. For example, with the current sponsor, I got a set amount of videos to do per month, which brings in some discipline and gives me like some sort of a deadline to work on, because when I don't really have a deadline, I tend to slack off, which is pretty much what most people do. So currently, you should expect about 4 videos a month, or a video usually once a week, depending on the size. I really don't want to rush out videos. I don't want to have like a set schedule, like I'm gonna release on Wednesday and then like rush out a 12-minute video. For example, I can finish a video that is 7 minutes, but I'm not gonna rush out a video just so that I get it out on time. Overall, I think this is a great deal because not only do the sponsors support the channel, but it also benefits you guys, the viewers, because, well, you get more videos and you get more content. So other than that, there really isn't too much more to talk about. I'll talk about the channel more in future videos, maybe at the end of the year, what is happening and like the analysis of the channel. So without further ado, let's get into the lore section of the Q&A. The first question is by Desci or Desci or Desi, I'm really not certain how to pronounce it. Do you think it was necessary for Illidan to become the jailor of Sargeras? I mean, if Sargeras ever breaks out and the Pantheon can't stop him, what could Illidan do? Well, this is an interesting question. I don't really think it was necessary. I just think it was used as a way to just end the Illidan storyline. The whole Illidan thing was about demon hunters and defeating the Legion. If you read the Illidan novel and played through the games, you would see that he was obsessed with defeating Sargeras and saving the world. It was pretty much his entire thing. And now that we ended the Burning Legion, it was only natural for the Illidan storyline to temporarily end here as well. Overall, I think it is a good thing, because what else could Illidan really do? Like, his entire deal was that he sacrificed everything to see Legion's end, and now that the demons have been defeated, that is really about it. I mean, we have demon hunters, of course. You could use the same argument, like, what is the point of demon hunters now? But demon hunters are a bit different. They're usually not 10,000 years old, and they've been something else before they turn into demon hunters, and it's also the players, so it's kind of a different argument. Also, I think it would be kinda lame if he just returned as some neutral character and then worked on preserving the planet or whatnot. I think really it is the fact that Battle for Azeroth was already in plans or was already being worked on as Legion was out, and that had a big influence on Blizzard deciding to do this, because now we have this faction war, and Illidan is not really a part of any faction. He's also not the type of character like Khadgar or Troll that would look to preserve nature and work for the good of all and all this stuff. Illidan was not put there to hold Sargeras because Illidan is so powerful that he could hold Sargeras, in my opinion. It was more of a symbolic thing, as his story is so tied to that of Sargeras, like his entire focus was on Sargeras, and then now that Sargeras' story ended, his story ends as well. He was an edgy character, like the all or nothing type, and I'm kinda glad they finished his storyline, or at least temporarily put it on hold. Alright, so the next question is by Franco. Who do you think would win in a 1 vs 1 match, Broxigar the Red or the Lich King? I know that Broxigar had the Axe of Cenarius and significantly wounded Sargeras with it, but he didn't have magic. And Arthas had Frostmourne and magic, but I don't know if he was all that powerful, although Broxigar is mortal. What do you think? Alright, so first of all, I just wanna clarify something, as Broxigar did not significantly wound Sargeras. It was literally like a paper cut wound, even less than a paper cut wound. It just distracted him, and then he was just distracted, hit by spells, and then he got into a portal and exploded. So Broxigar didn't really inflict any significant damage, but the fact that he inflicted any damage at all is pretty admirable. Anyway, in terms of the question, personally, without too much of an analysis like a versus video, I would say that Arthas would take the win here. Of course, as the Lich King, not as the Death Knight or the Paladin. He really was significantly powerful when he was at the pinnacle as the Lich King. Not only did he have the entire Scourge at his disposal, and all the creations and like the monstrosities, he could seriously kill most characters in a 1v1 duel on top of that. Him defeating Terenas Shadowfang in one blow is proof of this. Terenas Shadowfang was not some regular grunt or some regular warrior, and was one of the best warriors of the Horde at the time. Now, in regards to Broxigar, he is first of all related to Terenas Shadowfang, and this has been discussed to death, but really it is true. Broxigar is very similar to Terenas Shadowfang. He was an extremely good warrior and very experienced, but he was not some super powerful entity. He had a magical axe, courage, as well as luck and experience and chance on his side, and he accomplished a great deed. I think Varrock might have actually done the same thing if he was in his brother's shoes, so it was not like Broxigar was super special, like the only orc in the universe that was the strongest warrior of all of the orcs that ever existed. In general, I think Arthas could easily defeat Broxigar, but with the Axe of Cenarius, I think it would be really hard. It definitely wouldn't break the axe like it did in the case of Drenosh, but it would be kind of a one-sided duel. I don't really know. Like, it's kind of hard to compare what Arthas could do at what point in time, but I don't think Broxigar could do too much against the Lich King. Still, I think just power level wise and just taking his abilities and characteristics in perspective, Arthas is just more powerful at his pinnacle. Okay, we got 3 more questions. The next question is by Gabriel. What if the old gods didn't spread the curse of flesh? Well, this is one interesting question. I actually responded to a comment in this when I looked at the questions now, and I completely missed the point, so I'll try to do speculation right now. One thing that is certain is that the entire world will be completely different, and that so many events would not have happened, or would have happened in a completely different way. Also, so many races would not exist, and then the histories of the races would not have even happened, or would have even been different if they existed at some point. Let's say that Yogg-Saron corrupts Loken, but no Curse of Flesh exists. This means that no dwarves, flesh cycle, humans, and such would ever exist. In turn, most likely Loken wouldn't be so successful in taking over Ulduar, and they would probably never leave to Eastern Kingdom. Also, for example, Rykel would not think that their gods had abandoned them, as well as other Titan creations, and there would be a more centralized effort. Now, who knows what would have happened here, as the Pantheon was defeated still and Loken corrupted, but the outcome of the Civil War might have been different. What is certain is that everything would be changed. With no humans, there would be no troll wars, and without the humans, the High Elves might have been overwhelmed, thus having the trolls take over the continent. There would also be no human presence. Now, it is entirely possible that the Titan Forge could take over the entire world and work as they were intended to, as overall the Titan Forge were supposed to control the world with all this Titan gifted machinery and creations in order to keep the native races in check. Because of the division and the curse, they failed and pretty much all hell broke loose, leading to what we know today as the current timeline. So, in conclusion, I think it is super hard to really say, as there are literally a million factors, but there could have been a possibility that the Titan Forge could hold significant power over Azeroth, which ultimately could have led to less wars, destruction and bloodshed. Possibly even no sundering and keeping the planet as it was. But really, the Curse of Flesh happened so long ago, and it is such core to the current timeline that any change would be significant. Okay, the next question is by Michael, and he asks, what if Terenas listened to Medivh's advice? Well, this is a really fun speculation to really just think about. As we know in the Warcraft 3 cinematic, Medivh did try to warn Terenas, but he was just dismissed as some crazy fool and he didn't do anything. In turn, the entirety of Lordaeron fell, Arthas turned into a Death Knight, Terenas was killed, everything just went to hell. Only Jaina led some survivors to Terramore. Now, in my opinion, if Terenas took the role of Jaina, he could have done a lot more. First, the Scourge wouldn't get Arthas and the bulk of the army, so many more survivors would be there, Alliance would probably have much stronger presence in Kalimdor as well. However, it is insane to think that a king could take the entire population of the continent as if he has so much power. I mean, Jaina did this, but that was when most Lordaeron already fell. He would probably be able to get most of his followers, and then others that might panic would follow him, but there would definitely be a significant portion of the population that would fall to the Scourge and would pose a threat. However, with no Lordaeron, like if they left, the Scourge would most likely try to find someone else. Either the entire plague fails and nothing really happens and Ner'zhul fails his mission, or they reach south as in Ironforge and Stormwind, and then they take some other champion and there's like maybe like a dwarf Lich King or something like that. It would 100% be a lot different than it is today. Alright, and the last question is by Halfdime Back, and he asks, why did the Voidwalkers and similar creatures serve the Burning Legion? Is it just because of old lore being weird, or is there an answer in the current lore? Well, it is kind of a mix of some outdated lore, but the actual answer to this is that void magic isn't necessarily the void. We all know that Sargeras created a Burning Legion in order to counter the Void Lords, and that their main magic is Fel, aka demonic magic, so it would only make sense that they would only use Fel magic. However, on Azeroth, for example, we have Warlocks that use Fel magic, and they are in no way affiliated with the Burning Legion. So using specific magic does not really define your allegiance. In much the same way Burning Legion demons utilize any magic that can serve them and that can make them more powerful. Of course, these creatures are enslaved and they're not nearly as powerful as the masters that enslave them. This doesn't mean that a Dreadlord would be able to enslave a Void Lord, or that Fel is stronger than the Void, or anything of that sort. Hopefully that answers your question. Alright, and that is all I have for this video. Thank you guys for watching this Q&A, and feel free to leave your questions for the next one. Just mention big Q&A in the comment and I'll try to do my best to answer your lore questions or even possibly channel questions if you have them. You can also ask them on Facebook and Twitter if you want to, and I'll feature those as well. Thanks a lot for taking the time out of the day to watch this video, and see you next time.